saying, "Save the whales, save the earth," means simply that if we can't save the whales whose plight is so obvious, how can we possibly hope to save anything else on our endangered planet? And it follows that if we can save the whales, we can save our planet too. In the 1960s and 70s, nearly 70 orcas were captured in Pacific Northwest waters. Most of the captives did poorly, surviving only a fraction of a normal lifetime. Many died in the nets.
At that particular time, we had other animals in the net. We were busy. I was sorry that we did kill the animals, but there was nothing I could do. They were already dead, and I had to be concerned about the live animals. So we split open their stomachs, put anchors on them, and sunk them, because no one else would take them. And that's what happened. I did it, and that was it. It was just that simple.
Today, of the 70 whales taken from these waters, only 2 survive. Lolita was taken from this capture in 1970. She now lives alone in the Miami Seaquarium, the smallest orca tank in the United States. The other was taken from Canadian waters. Her name is Corky, and this is her story. Orcas live in families that always stay together. They're the most powerful animal in the ocean, but orcas don't harm people, even when people are harming them, even when they are captured. Corky was with her family when she was captured in British Columbia in 1969. They were soon separated from each other. Then Corky was lifted from the water in a sling. She was 4 years old. Others were taken too, but Corky's mother and a few members of the family remained free. Corky went to a circular tank near Los Angeles. In that tiny world, concrete walls replaced the cliffs, rocks, and sand of the vast ocean. She had no passageways, no nooks or crannies to explore, and gone were the familiar sounds of the sea. 4 others from Corky's extended family were with her at the beginning, but after only 2 years, only Corky and her male cousin Orky were still alive. When Corky was 11 years old in 1977, her first baby was born, but the baby could not nurse, and Corky could not feed him. People tried to feed the baby, but after 16 days, he died of pneumonia. In the following years, Corky became pregnant 6 more times. All of her babies died. The oldest lived just 46 days. And in 1987, after being pregnant almost continuously for 10 years, Corky stopped ovulating. Then Orky and Corky were sold to SeaWorld in San Diego. Orky died 18 months later, and Corky was now without family and among strangers. Corky has been captive and performing shows for 30 years, but she spends most of her days circling her tank over and over and over again. She has done her time. The worldwide campaign to free Corky began quietly in 1991 with a private request to SeaWorld and its owner to allow Corky to return to her family. The requests were refused, and a grassroots campaign was launched to help Corky. In 1994, the 25th anniversary of Corky's life as a captive was marked with a candlelight vigil outside of SeaWorld and a demonstration inside the next day. Corky's best chance now lies in a wonderful work of art called Corky's Freedom Banner. Thousands of patches of cloth express the feelings of children around the world for Corky. Sewn together, they form a huge and powerful message about freedom. On Mother's Day in 1996, Corky's Freedom Banner was displayed around SeaWorld in San Diego. Corky's Freedom Banner was then over 2 kilometers long. 14,000 people from 15 countries had contributed messages to it. 100 volunteers had their hands full raising Corky's banner. It was an amazing day. The next step came in 1997, when Corky's magnificent banner went on a tour of Europe, visiting major cities in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, England, and Ireland. The children's energy, their sympathy, understanding, and commitment to Corky made each event a huge success. Corky's banner was draped around some of Europe's oldest statues and monuments. Now, with the help of yet more children from around the world, Corky's Freedom Banner is growing again. In springtime 1999, it took a symbolic journey from California, where Corky has spent her captive years, to her ancestral home in British Columbia, where her family still lives. Corky's banner and her dream traveled on board a bus called Freedom that was beautifully painted with images of Corky on one side and Lolita on the other. The journey began in San Francisco on a windy day, with Thursday's child getting ready to sail the seas for Corky. Country Joe McDonald sang old songs to inspire a new generation fighting for an ancient cause, freedom. On to Arcata for Memorial Day. Next, north to the welcome of Washington State, where under the Capitol's Great Dome, a wonderful joining of hands on behalf of Corky between government and First Nations youth.
My wife Karen and I were out sailing one day, and we happened to come across capture of orcas for the amusement parks in Southern California. And what we saw was terrible. What we saw was gruesome. What we saw was wrong.
Across the border, back into Canada to Vancouver, where the harbour waters and city skyline with huge coastal mountains looming behind provided a perfect backdrop for Corky's banner. Pushing north again, Freedom paused at Pender Harbour, where Corky's journey began so long ago. Next, Freedom was ferried across the waters of Georgia Strait to Denman Island, where Corky's cause was joined by a community fighting to preserve its forests. The banner was strung among the trees, and the community hall was festooned inside and out for an evening dinner and dance. Freedom moved on, up to Alert Bay, the old coastal village that is called home of the killer whale, because orca families have long been known to visit its waters. Corky's family is one. There, July 10th was declared Corky's Freedom Day. A crowd gathered in the village square to hear the mayor and chief offer encouraging words for Corky and to listen to her song. It was another joining of hands for Corky.
Corky has committed no crime. Even the most hardened criminals are freed after 25 years.
Late that afternoon, a flotilla carried Corky's banner home to Freshwater Bay. As the sun set over Blackfish Sound, with the banner waving in a gentle breeze, a group of passing orcas paused mid-channel, then carried on. It was the end of a perfect day, a long journey, and a new beginning in a circle of caring that will continue until one day a halfway house is made there for Corky, and she hears the sounds of her family and feels the ocean around her once more. Corky's keepers claim that she would die in the ocean, but another orca held captive too long is already going home to his family in Iceland. He is Keiko, the star of the film Free Willy. Keiko's story shows that the dream for Corky, a new life with her family, can come true.
Well, you know, there were almost 70 orca taken out of the population in Puget Sound, Georgia Strait, central British Columbia in the 60s and 70s. Most of them are dead. And what I figure is these whales have done a lot for us, a lot for people, you know, in terms of entertaining them and educating them and so forth, you know. And now we've got a chance of doing something for them. We know where these whales belong. You know, we didn't know anything about them at the beginning. Now we know who the families are. So we've got a chance to give them a new life. So why not? They say she's happy, but how do you know what's going on in the mind of a whale? You know? What is happiness for an orca? When you see orca in the ocean, you see an animal that's living in the midst of a social group that's having a great time with one another all the time. And I would say that's probably happiness for an orca, to be at home with their family in the ocean. If Corky had a choice, I think she'd rather be at home in the ocean.